Hello everyone, this is Sudi Burnett. I just finished my live in Farsi, so we're going to start our live in English. So I thought today I'm going to talk about one of my students from my 7 weeks coaching had these questions, and I think it would be very good for all of you guys to also know about it. So the question has been, what's the difference between me, self, ego, subconscious mind, my higher self, and my intuition? Wouldn't that be interesting to talk about? So let's get started. Basically, as you and I know, we are born as a twin, right? So you probably have heard this over and over, but I'm gonna repeat myself again. We are two parts being born. One part is our ego. The other part is our soul, right? So you and I are born as a twin. A part is ego mind. So our mind, conscious mind, subconscious mind, works with our ego. They have a partnership. The other side is our soul and our heart. And we already established that the energy of our heart is 100 times bigger than the energy of our mind. Okay, so this is your ego, your conscious and subconscious mind, and here is your heart and your soul. What's the difference in these two parts? First of all, we are a spiritual being having a human experience, right? So we are a spiritual being, meaning that we're coming from the spirit, from the higher realm. At the higher realm, as a spirit, we are just the same as the whole universe. And you and I know that the whole universe is the whole knowing, is the knowledge, is the whole creation. Okay? As in a spirit, you and I are the same and exactly identical to the whole universe. We are a fraction of the whole universe. That's the soul and our higher self. On the other hand, our ego or our mind is very separate. At the first 2 years of our age, the first thing we start to do, we start to identify ourselves as being separate from everyone else. So the first 2 years, basically, we are thinking, who am I? That's mom, that's dad, that's this and that. We are separated from everyone else. So that's the ego part of us. Once we establish that we're separated from the whole and from others, now the dilemma, the stories, and everything will start. So generally, in an ego mind and in our subconscious mind, you and I are constantly watching and observing. What does mom do? What does dad do? What does our sister, surrounding, grandma, grandpa does? And how am I different from everyone else? That's totally different from the spirit or my higher self that doesn't know separation. Okay, so what's the problem if you and I are coming from separation? in our totality or in our reality. The problem is that once I'm separated from everyone else, I'm going to be constantly comparing myself to everyone else. This person is taller than me, this person is prettier than me, this person is richer than me, this person has a great family, this person has this or this or that. So you and I start to compare ourselves constantly with everyone else around us. So let's think about this. Does this quality make me feel good about myself if I'm constantly checking out to see, am I matching up to the level of the other person? Am I lower or am I higher? That's the ego. Constantly I need to be in check. If I'm going lower, I'm going to feel bad. If I'm higher and better than someone else, then I have to keep it up. So I would be constantly higher and better. So this is where perfectionism starts. Perfectionism is that I have to be the best. I have to do everything in my power to be the best at education, the best. I have to have the best marriage. I have to achieve as much as I can. So I'm constantly in a state of struggling, and this is totally negative energy, right? So today I established that in my Farsi webinar is the way we can really separate our higher selves or our soul from the ego mind is that the definition will be when I tune into myself and I see how I feel, right? So in the ego mind, there's always needs and there is always urgency. So when you're hearing a voice and you want to say, is this my soul? Is this my higher self? Or is this my ego? Just listen and tune in to the voice and the energy that it's emanating out. Remember, only as human being and on a planet Earth, we have the concept of time, also space. So when we reach the higher realm, there is no space because everything is one, and there's absolutely no separation of anything from anything else. So there is no time and there is no space. Okay. So when we hear and we get this nudge, like an idea, you should do this, you should study that, you should go after this profession, and you see that the voice is, how should I put it? It's very kind, it's soothing, it's coming from a place of assurance that there's no more confusion. And when you hear it, this is it. And then you see there is no urgency in it, like you gotta hurry up and you gotta pursue it. Or, as I mentioned before, because there is no concept of time, you don't have to be in a rush. It's not, how fast do I have to achieve it? How fast can I get there, right? Because let's face it, if there's no concept of time, then does it matter if I pursue it and achieve it and it's going to take me 8 years or 2 years, or it can happen in a week, if there is no concept of time, then you see that we're not stressed about time. So we are calmer. Okay, so that's when you hear a voice, an idea pops in, something that you should be doing, and you feel really good about it. You feel good in your body. There is no, can I do it? Can I achieve it? There's no doubts there. You know for sure that you can achieve it, and it's going to make you feel great. So no urgency, no time, because a lot of time the difference here between mind and ego is how many times have you stopped doing something, or your mind stopped you from achieving a goal because you come to yourself and you think, oh my God, I gotta go 2 years to study, or 8 years I have to go to university. So this is the mind ego that uses time to stop you from achieving your goal. Okay? So now you understand that only urgency and neediness and need of having something, or the need of achieving something, is coming from the ego. Because your higher self, it's all about experiencing things. There's no urgency and there's no need. It's just like when you and I come from a higher self, I think, do I like to be a hairstylist, or would I like to be an engineer? It's just choices. When I come from a higher self, I think, okay, what makes me feel better right now? If hairdressing or becoming a stylist, it creates more joy and ease in me, then I would do that. If I'm in love and passionate about becoming an engineer, and that's something that I want to experience right now, great, I'll pursue that. Okay, so basically, a nudge from a higher self, your intuition, the first thing that comes to you, these are not separated from one another. So when we talk about go within, all the knowledge, all your answers, everything and anything that you want to know is within you. That word of within, with the spirit, with your higher self and the higher realm, these are not separated. They are all one. Again, I'm going to repeat myself. Why are they all one? Because at the higher realm, there is no separation. Everything is just one. I am you, you are me, this is me, that's you, that's me, that's... So there is just oneness. So a lot of time, the mind, and I see maybe some people, they add into your confusion, what is my intuition? What is my soul? What's my higher self? And what is blah, blah, blah. So they start to add into this separation. And because we make the inner world a separate world, and we make the higher realm a separate world, and we make our spirit or our soul a different world, therefore we end up being more confused that, oh my God, there are so many worlds. How do I know if I'm within or I'm up there on a higher realm, or how do I know if it's my higher self talking to me or my soul talking to me? You see what I mean? So let's make this very simple and clear. Your inner world, this is exactly the same as the higher realm, and is exactly the same as the knowledge that your higher self or your soul will tap into. It is available for us. So there's no separation there. Now, something that I experienced when I had my near-death experience was that I'm going to talk about that because I started writing some posts about my near-death experience, and a lot of people wanted to know the whole story, because right now what I'm doing is I'm writing a few paragraphs and then the next post and the next post. So people want to know the whole thing, and eventually we're going to get to the whole thing, but generally we don't have enough patience to wait that long. So I will do a live just to talk about my near-death experience and blah, blah, blah. But right now, what I can only tell you is that I'm telling you this thing because of when I had a near-death experience and my soul left my body right away, and I experienced the oneness and I was in a higher realm. These are information that I brought back with me. Okay, you don't have to believe me, and I'm not forcing my beliefs of what I have seen and experienced to you guys. Is just an idea. You can just take it or you can just leave it. But anyhow, what was shown to me is that when I'm on the higher realm or higher vibration, my spirit is the same as the Holy Spirit and everything else in the universe. I am one with the whole, with the knowledge, with the understanding. Okay? The minute I decide, and I'm going to repeat myself, I decide to reincarnate, because there's also some questions. There are a lot of people believe that we are forced to come back here. It's not really that. As a soul, we choose when we're ready to come back and continue our journey and have different experiences, right? So it was shown to me that when I decide to reincarnate, my soul would have a split, meaning a part of me, which is the whole spirit and is on the higher realm, will stay up there, and my soul will split and be become into two, and the other part of my soul comes on this level, earth plane, and according to what I have chosen to experience, what lessons I want to experience this time, I come in and I go through my lessons and I have those experiences. So where does the higher self comes in, and what makes me different? Because I'm a spiritual counselor, I'm an empath. What makes me different than you or someone else is that I have the ability and capability to be connected and become one with my spirit, which we can call higher self. I can connect and become one with the higher self, which is connected or is in the whole universe. And the simple example that I can give you guys is that for many, many years, when I did healing, energy healing, and I worked on someone else, and I was doing a private coaching session, I would hear the whole thing. Like I would know what is going on. Excuse me one second. Nima. So I tune in and become one with my higher self, which is the same as the whole universe, and I would have the answer.
Sorry.
Okay? So generally, I could be doing a session and I can hear or get the solution at the same time as I'm talking to this person about whatever issue she or he is going through. I have the knowledge to guide this person, and I think to myself, how did I come up with that answer? Where was it coming from? How was I able to have or gain that knowledge? So the information or knowledge is not outside of me, is the moment you and I become so centered that we are fully existing in our body, our mind and ego kind of pushes away for a few minutes or whatever, second. Then from the point of absence of ego mind, I am back again to be one with my higher self. And that's where I get the knowledge. So this is nothing special and is not something that I have and you don't. And is not even because I had a near-death experience and I left and I came back. It's not even that. It's just that by knowing who we truly are, by knowing that I am not the mind and ego, and the way you and I can do that is by the practice that I always give to my students. It's just working on this one piece. When your mind starts to grab a thought, stop it right there. I call it thought cut space. So basically, before your mind wants to tap in to a thought, which is, by the way, your thoughts are not yours. Your thoughts are vibrations that is all around here in the universe. They're free spaces. So the depression, the thought of suicide, depression, love, happiness, joy, all of these thoughts are vibration in the space. Of course, you and I are not able to see the thoughts and knowing that is there. But what happens is our mind taps in to that thought, to that energy or frequency. And as soon as it taps into it, it makes it its own. And then right away, you and I would think, oh, I am depressed, right? So this is the quality of ego. Ego makes it its own, telling you the lie that I am the thinker of the thought, which is not true. Those thoughts are not yours in the first place, right? But as soon as mind and ego tap in to a thought, Whether it's happiness, it doesn't always have to be a negative thing. But as soon as your mind taps in, your ego makes it yours and telling you, you're the one who's depressed. You're the one who's happy. You're the one who's blah, blah, blah. Okay? So why am I giving my students this practice, which is a daily practice, is that if you and I would learn to separate ourselves from all these thoughts, and the way we can do that is that as soon as our mind wants to tap into a thought, you and I can imagine that we have a big scissor and we cut that thought. So at the beginning of the thought, it's not enough. You don't have enough thoughts to become collectively in one, and therefore your mind be able to give it meaning. So if you cut it at the beginning, there's nothing going to be happening anymore, because it can't be right or wrong. You have to allow your mind to collect enough thoughts to make a whole sentence, therefore make a sense to you, and then you go into your judgment, and your ego with its judgment tells you if that thought is positive or negative. So basically what I'm saying, don't let it go that far. As soon as it's going to start, boom, you are cutting it. So you can have a meaning, your mind cannot make a translation of what did that mean, what is that, what did it say, how am I feeling? So remember, if you start doing this daily practice, which is the hardest thing on this planet, I know that, I've been there, I've done that. It's really, really hard. It's one of the hardest tasks for us as humans to disrupt the pattern of our thoughts that our brain has been using it against us for so many years. So we're not making the brain to be totally wrong or useless. All I'm saying is a healthy mind, someone who's coming from the higher self, or if you're coming from your soul, you choose good thoughts, therefore you will have better feelings. On the other hand, you and I can only use our mind when we need it, when you're studying, when you're listening to something, when you are here right now, you're listening to me. You need your mind to read those vibrations as sound and change them into a word, and then you try to understand what I'm saying, right? So at this time, we need our mind. It's necessary. But we don't need our mind constantly and all the time. Why? Because the rest and the majority of time, the voice that we hear and the translation of thoughts are just statics. Like, it doesn't really make any sense, or is repeatedly done about how I went wrong, how I make wrong decision, how unhappy I am, how everything is okay, but somehow I don't feel good, and I feel useless, I feel purposeless, I feel like although I have everything, but everything is not the same way, exact way as I wanted them to be. So, like I said, I do sessions with many privileged people who are very well off, successful in business and everything else, they can have everything in the material world, but still things are not right. Something is wrong with the situation. Where do you think that comes from? The ego, right? Your mind and the ego. So you don't need your mind when it's going through all this gathering habitually the negative thoughts and make you feel bad. In reality, nothing is good or bad. Exactly, honey. Everything, nothing is good or bad. It's just a perspective. Or if you put it the other way, is the lens that I'm looking through, like I did in the other meditation, guided meditation. If the lens that you're looking through is not what you like, you have an option. You can choose to change your lens and use a different lens that makes your story and your film beautiful. You are the creator. So when you know that you're the creator, if your mind would have allowed you, you would have made your film or your reality exactly as you wanted to. But you don't have these options right now. Therefore, your mind is constantly choosing for you and making your reality that you're not very happy about. Okay? So basically, to wrap this up, your mind, your ego are partner. They're in a partnership. They work together. Your soul is a split or a fraction of your higher self and the whole universe, the whole knowing. Therefore, your soul knows it all. Your soul was the one that decided in this lifetime what lesson does it want to go through. Your soul has a blueprint of all of your other lives. Okay? So your soul knows in this lifetime, in this lifetime, in this lifetime, in this lifetime. Your soul knows it all. But I'm kind of playing with it to see if I should add this part to it because it could be very confusing, but I'm going to say it anyways because I feel that a lot of my viewers have been with me for a long time, and you guys can, or if I should say it in a different way, your mind will allow you to have the correct translations of what I'm saying. And this is what I want to add. Our soul doesn't have just one lifetime at this reality time. What do I mean by that? What I mean is, as I told you before, let me go back. I said your higher self in a spirit realm, which is one with your soul, and your soul have a split from your higher self, comes on the third dimension or earth plane to experience things. Okay, now you don't have, in that split, you don't just have one life or one soul experiencing. The same soul is experiencing many different lifetimes. So to be specific, let me use myself. I, as Sudi, that I know, as not just a spiritual teacher, a life coach here. This is one reality for Sudi, but Sudi have 10 other lives that she's living, a housewife, that's raising children, she's having, she's a rebel, you know, she has many different lifetimes. The reason we can comprehend that is because anytime our conscious mind tap into one of these reality, that and only that becomes real to this Sudi. But the minute I switch from this and my consciousness moves to a different life, that I'm a housewife and I'm raising 5 kids and I'm cooking and I'm cleaning and I'm putting the laundry up, when my conscious switches to that, that becomes my reality. I know it gets very complex and complicated. So in a way, I did many years ago, I did a few classes about parallel universes, and I explained that because we made it into 3 webinars, parallel universes, and I explained there that there is no beginning or ending of a situation. Okay, so to be more specific and clear, make it more clear to you guys, right now you are joining me to watch this live, and you think maybe an hour before you said Sudi is going to go live at 11:30, so let me be mindful to be present at 11:30, right? Then you are feeling that you are here and you're watching this live and you're hearing me because your conscious is here. When this live, according to us, with our timing, will end, you and I switch off and we say, oh, the live is finished and over. In reality, this live is a continuation. Never started, never ended. So as a conscious being, anytime your mind, your consciousness puts itself somewhere, that becomes the reality of the soul. And the minute that my consciousness switches on a totally different lifestyle that doesn't have a beginning, neither an ending, that would be continuously happening. So in our conscious mind, we're constantly tapping here, that's real, that's real, that's real, that's real. But none of these events or situation is beginning or ending. Is that why sometimes we feel we are at, yes, honey. That's why that's exactly what it is. Sometimes you and I think, oh, I had a deja vu that I've been with this guy, or I'm here, I'm living in Los Angeles, but all of a sudden I'm in Paris, right? So that's because your consciousness switched to another life, but you're holding on to that consciousness enough to bring it back here and realize that you went to Paris, but you actually live in LA, right? So it's the constant going back and forth, and how much we retain from a parallel universe or from a different life, it depends on how much we trained our consciousness, how much we have practiced mindfulness and being in the moment. So the more this container as our brain is empty, or let me put it the other way, the emptier this container of my mind and thoughts and my brain is, the more I'm able to grab, comprehend, and see and tap into a different reality or different universes. Or knowing that, oh, my soul, this is one of them, one experience. So our soul is constantly experiencing different things. The minute you and I start thinking, should I marry this guy or should I marry this woman or not? And we make a decision, yes, I'm going to marry him or I'm going to marry her. In that split of a second, you also made the different choice of not marrying this person. So, why do I say at the higher realm, there's nothing right or wrong? There is no decision that's wrong. There is no judgment regarding the decision you and I make or not. Is exactly, if you can comprehend this part, that whenever you are in between two choices or even 3 or 4 choices, your conscious will stick to one and that becomes real, but your soul is also at the same time experiencing all the other one. Ta-da! And isn't that interesting? That makes it sort of easier for us to know that, oh, so in another universe, I can see and feel how it would be if I would have married that person, or if I wouldn't have married that person, how would it be? Okay, so I'm going to end the live here. Love you guys. If you guys want to have a private session with me, you can send a message through YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram. My Instagram English is Sudi_Burnett. Instagram Farsi is Sudabe Burnett. Facebook is always Sudi Burnett. YouTube is always Sudi Burnett. Love and joy till next Sunday. Have a blessed life. Goodbye. Thanks for coming.